get to the news. The Biden administration last week called for new regulations on regional banks. I'm kidding. We're only doing fun stuff today. Regional banks, get out of here. A Manhattan grand jury voted on Thursday to indict former President Trump for allegedly making a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. But if you think this is the end for Donald Trump, I have a bus to sell you. After it was reported on Thursday that a Manhattan grand jury had voted to indict him, former President Trump had dinner at Mar-a-Lago with former First Lady Melania Trump. It was a poignant moment in their relationship, and Trump and Melania very tenderly and lovingly split the check.
So your half is $38.50.
Former President Trump is set tomorrow to be fingerprinted and photographed, and then the next step will be to sit back and see how many cold cases that solves. Chief, you're not gonna believe this. We got news on the Westchester Strangler. Former President Trump's lawyers are reportedly considering asking to have his trial moved from Manhattan to Staten Island. Ah, yes, the Mar-a-Lago of New York. What are they going to sentence him to? A parade? That's right. Trump's lawyers want to have Trump's trial moved from Manhattan to Staten Island. Normally, if you want to move something from Manhattan to Staten Island, you just throw it in a trash can. Bays. Alex, make your letters out to Alex Bays. The Justice Department and FBI reportedly have evidence that former President Trump possibly obstructed the investigation into classified documents found at his Mar-a-Lago home. Trump is reportedly still digesting the news and the documents. A couple in Michigan recently pulled into a Costco parking lot to give birth to their baby. While on their way to the hospital, they also picked up some snacks and toiletries, because how often do you find a parking space at Costco? Just breathe, honey, I'm gonna run in. Today was zoologist Jane Goodall's 89th birthday. Her friends threw a party and their feces. McDonald's has reportedly closed down its corporate offices temporarily to prepare for layoffs. So if you were looking to burglarize them, now might be a good time. And finally, today was Don't Go to Work Unless It's Fun Day. But don't worry, it is. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday signed a bill that allows residents to carry concealed loaded weapons without a permit. UConn won the NCAA tournament, and Finland joined NATO, and I think that's all the other stuff now. Former President Trump was arraigned today inside the New York County Criminal Court in Lower Manhattan, and I think it really says something that the craziest part of that sentence is still former president. That guy was the president of the country. If you asked for the manager at Best Buy and that guy came over, you'd say, no, the manager. That's right, former President Trump was arraigned today in Manhattan, and like anyone else, Trump is presumed innocent until he outright confesses on Truth Social. Trump was arraigned today inside a New York courtroom. Cameras weren't allowed, but they did have a sketch artist. Former President Trump was set to speak tonight at Mar-a-Lago following his arraignment today in New York. Wait, they're letting him go? Does anything scream flight risk more than a guy with his own plane? It's a flight guarantee. Attorney Todd Blanche announced yesterday that he's joined former President Trump's criminal defense team and said joining the team was, quote, an opportunity he could not pass up. An opportunity to what? Also go to prison? Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to join the illustrious ranks of Michael Cohen and the guy who didn't know Four Seasons was a hotel? New York Mayor Eric Adams warned yesterday that the city is prepared for former President Trump's arraignment and said, quote, while there may be some rabble-rousers thinking about coming to our city tomorrow, our message is clear and simple, control yourselves. My question is, where was that leadership before SantaCon? Kellen Curry, an Afghanistan war veteran and former executive at J.P. Morgan, announced this week that he will challenge New York Congressman George Santos in the Republican primary. Sounds impressive. Do we have a photo of Curry? George! Disney CEO Bob Iger criticized Florida Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday for his decision to strip the company of its special self-governing status. And to get him back, announced Minnie is just Mickey in drag. Paris residents over the weekend voted to ban electric scooters from the city, which is wise because it's really hard to fall in love with someone once you've seen them ride a scooter. And finally, today was Tell a Lie Day, said one celebrant, not guilty. Former President Trump pleaded not guilty yesterday to 34 charges of falsifying business records. Well, his voice pleaded not guilty. His face pleaded guilty as hell. Former President Trump spoke last night at Mar-a-Lago following his arraignment and said, quote, "I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Honestly, neither did I. I mean, you got away with so many crimes for so long. Trump getting arrested was like Avatar 2. I just figured it was never going to happen. Then it finally did, and I was like, you know what? Worth the wait." In his speech at Mar-a-Lago last night after his arraignment, former President Trump thanked his family and said, quote, "I have a great family, and they've done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it very much." Great that he likes his family, but why does he talk about them the way a high school principal talks about the prom committee? They've done a great job. We really appreciate them, and hey, looks like we're under the sea. Give him a hand. Eric Trump retweeted a photo of former President Trump in court yesterday with the caption, "Boss." No, dude, it's your father. What is wrong with this family? After former President Trump's post-arraignment event at Mar-a-Lago last night, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene said that Trump was, quote, committed like she's never seen him before. Well, yeah, but that's a pretty low benchmark. If he was committed before, he wouldn't be in this mess to begin with. Fox News chairman Rupert Murdoch has reportedly called off his engagement, and just as his leg was healing from getting down on one knee. That's right, 92-year-old Fox News chairman Rupert Murdoch has reportedly called off his engagement. Yeah, don't rush into anything. You've got your whole month ahead of you. Lawmakers in Texas are considering 2 new bills that would allow firearm safety to be taught in high school, and if there's money left over, math. Former President Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, said in a new interview that it was a, quote, relief to see the final charges against Trump. All right, you know it's bad when 34 felonies is a relief. Oh, whew, really dodged a bullet there. After attending a rally in Manhattan in support of former President Trump on Tuesday, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene criticized New York during an interview with Fox News host Tucker Carlson and said, quote, "I think it's a very terrible place, but the joke's on you, Marjorie, because once you think that, you're officially a New Yorker." After he was arraigned on Tuesday in Manhattan, former President Trump reportedly sat on the patio of Mar-a-Lago and used his iPad to play music over the club speakers, including Macho Man by the Village People. "Hey, man, you can't play that here anymore," said the governor of Florida. According to a new report from the EPA, there are more than 1 million lead pipes still in use in Florida, and there are actually more than that in New Jersey, but they don't want to have to use them. You know what I mean? Lamborghini this week unveiled its first plug-in hybrid supercar. Now you can help save the planet for your children from all 3 of your marriages. A government official in Singapore was recently sentenced to 2 years in jail after he allegedly sold more than 600 stolen printer cartridges online. No word on what happened to the trillions of dollars he made. I'm from the generation where we had to buy our own printer cartridges. They get you on the Cyan? Is that the one they get you on base? Yeah. According to a new survey, an estimated 44 million American adults are experiencing significant loneliness, which explains why they were willing to take a survey. No, it's not a bad time at all. A person walking on a beach in Florida recently found a 30-pound bale of marijuana, and they admittedly did the right thing and reported the 25-pound bale of marijuana. According to a new study, poor sleep can increase the risk of a stroke, but on the plus side, you got to hear this joke. Two former prison guards in Oklahoma were recently sentenced to probation for allegedly forcing inmates to listen to the song Baby Shark as punishment. And it's worse than you think because they played it twice. That's right, two former prison guards in Oklahoma were recently sentenced to probation for allegedly forcing inmates to listen to the song Baby Shark. Meanwhile, a local charity in New York remains unpunished. And that was a monologue